Hello, thanks for your time. In this video, we'd like to show you the introduction of the M1 to NX interface. The M1 is a very powerful security and automation controller with very powerful security features. It also has the ability to interface into third-party systems. So therefore, integrators can continue to use the systems that they're familiar with and they like, whether it be a lighting system, an AV system, etc. And the M1 can interface with all those to make it a very powerful system. The M1 can be used in virtually any size system, whether it be a small residential home right up to the largest of commercial properties. So this makes it a very flexible system to be used in any application. Interface this with a powerful VMS systems like NX, it then makes the total solution very, very powerful. Each M1 controller has 16 onboard intruder detection zones that can be expanded up to 208 inputs, and it also has 13 outputs that can be expanded up to 205 outputs. Supports 199 users, 8 area partitioning, so you can partition it warehouse, office, home, garage, etc. and has 6 arming levels from arm away, arm stay, night mode, etc. Now all of these can be programmed to do something when they occur into the NX witness system. The M1 has 3 different main keypads that you can use for turning the security system on and off, and it can also integrate into virtually anything electrical, whether it be lights, fans, sprinkler systems, pumps, etc. So we can interface virtually into anything electrical. The M1 has very powerful third-party integration via a high level into hundreds of different products. This is just a small sample, whether it be Clipsal, CBus, Control4, AMX, Crestron, etc. So you can also interface high level into all these products. The M1 also has an automation bridge, which is a voice control module, so you can use any of the popular voice modules, whether it be Google, Amazon, Echo, Siri, etc. to fully control the system, whether that be to turn lights on and off, outputs on and off, arm, disarm, you name it, you can do that with the M1 as well. Once we add interface to NX Witness, we then have voice control to be able to control the CCTV system within NX using the bridge. That was just a very small example of the power and flexibility the M1 has. And we can now look at what the advantages of using all those features when we interface into our VMS system. Once we interface into NX Witness via our NessBridge, we now have the ability, when a security breach has occurred on the security system, to be able to then notify somebody with video verification of what caused the alarm. We can pop up cameras to full screen, we can bookmark events, for example when a system is armed or disarmed, we can bookmark that video so we can easily recall it. We've also got voice control onto the NX, so therefore we can, using voice, to bring a camera up to start recording or do whatever you want to do. We can also have the ability to be able to then, via the VMS system, to activate outputs to open a boom gate, turn a light on and off, etc. It's really now just up to your imagination of what you can do with an intruder security system, automation controller, lighting system, tied in with a VMS system to make one total complete package available for your customers. The NessBridge software can be installed onto any of the NX servers that are in the Hive, or alternatively on any Linux or Windows based additional server that you have, as long as it's on the same security network. To access the NessBridge software to program, we do this via a web browser. So open up a web browser, example Chrome, put in the local IP address of where the software is installed, followed by port number 6377, and we hit enter, and we've now got access to the NessBridge software. First thing we do is we type in the M1's IP address, port number, we save and connect, and we can see we're connected here. And then what we've do, because we've already programmed the M1, we don't want to have to then reprogram all the zone names, output names a second time. So we hit synchronize, and when we hit synchronize, that will then go and get all the usernames from the M1, all the outputs, the zone names, etc. and put into the database here. So our NessBridge software is communicating with our M1. We do the same with NX. We click on the NX tab, put in the local IP address, port number 7001, username and password to log into that server. Click save and check. It will go and checking login details, and once we've logged in, we're now communicating fine with that server. We can then have some additional settings, like we can ignore virtual cameras if we wish to. We can also only include cameras that are set for recording. Save those settings. Again, we synchronize camera names. So again, we've programmed the NX server. We don't want to then do all the camera names a second time. So we click on synchronize camera names, and we're now synced. So all those camera names are now in our database ready to use for the Bridge software. Now, to program an M1 event to trigger something on the NX system, we do that under the rules engine. So we click on rules engine, and we haven't got any rules in as a default system. We then go and add new rule, and under the add rules we can see we've got a whenever option and a then. So whenever something happens on the M1, and if we click that, we can then go see whenever a security system is armed or disarmed and what area it would be, when an M1 output turns on or off, when an M1 zone changes, when an M1 task activates, and when an M1 light turns on and off. So let's just do a nice simple one to start with, so we can simulate here, and let's do an M1 output turns on and off. So when I click on here, we then get a list of all our outputs, so we can see the outputs that had names. They've been synchronized previously. So I'm just going to do an example. Whenever output 5 training room turns on, so whenever that output turns on, we're going to do something. Click OK, and then we'll say something. Let's generate a generic event in the NX system, and what the description is going to be. Now, it's very important that this description is not already in a generic event description anywhere else in NX system. For example, if I put training room, then there might be another description in the system, for example computer room, and it will then pick up the word room and activate. So it's always best to keep this unique. So as an example, I put in here training room. Now you noticed I've put in here training room all as one word, so therefore it'll be unique rather than having the word room by itself. If this generic event is going to trigger an email and you want camera snapshots to be included in that email, then you can select associated cameras for this event. In this instance, I'm not going to assign any cameras to it. I'm just going to hit done. So now what happens, whenever at output turns on, we're going to activate a generic event in NX called training room, or one word. We'll save that. And once it's saved, we can then see the rule here. We can edit it, we can test it, we can delete it. Now, to program this generic event to activate into NX system, we need to open up NX and write the camera rule. But before I do that, because the description has to be identical in NX as what it was in here, what we need to do, let's highlight training room, and I'll copy that. And now when we go to the NX system, we can write our camera rule in there. So if I right mouse click on the cameras, go to camera rule, let's add a new camera rule, and of course it was a generic event. And what we've got, description contains. So this is where we had that unique word where we typed in training room. And then what do we want to do when we activate? On this example, we're going to go, let's set to full screen. Select the camera, and we can go down. Let's select the training room camera. Click OK from any of our layouts. So let's select, we're on the training demo layout. Select that. We'll apply it. Hit OK. So now whenever that programmed event of the M1 activates, on our example we had whenever output 5 turns on, it will activate a generic event, and we said whenever that output training room in the generic events from NX activates, it's going to bring this up to full screen. So if we bring our M1 to go software up This is just the software for M1 that we can then simulate things, we can activate events. Let's go to our outputs, and we had the output training room, which is output 5 up here. So when I activate this output, we should see this training room camera come to full screen. So we activate it, and there it is coming to full screen. Move that out the way, and we can see that came to full screen. If I bring that back to all cameras again, I'll activate that camera and we'll see that going up. So that was just a very quick example of activating a generic event from an output. It could be a generic event from the system arming, disarming, a light turning on, etc. On this example, we just had it when an output turns on, so we can easily simulate it for the demonstration purposes, but it might be perhaps a vehicle driving over a vehicle loop as it approaches a boom gate. We then pop up to full screen so the operator can easily see that vehicle, and then we can do something, perhaps open the boom gate. But if we wanted to put, say, a text overlay on that camera, so why did it pop up full screen so the operator can see, we can add a text overlay as another example. So if we right mouse click, go down to camera rules again, let's add a new camera rule. Again, we'll go to a generic event when that contains the same description, so it's with the same event from the M1. We then go down here and we can put on here this show text overlay. We can select what camera it's going to be related to. It's going to be the training room camera. Let's display it on the screen for 10 seconds. Text overlay. Now this could be perhaps a security breach, perhaps when there's motion activated as an intruder alarm. So we can put whatever text. Let's, as an example, let's put something along the lines of warning. Motion in training room as an example. Okay, so let's apply that. Okay, so now when we activate that event, as well as popping up, we'll get some text on the screen. So let's bring our M1 to go so we can simulate and activate an output on the M1. So again, we go to the output, we'll go to training room, pop it up to full screen, and we can see down the bottom here we've now got motion in the training room as that text coming up. In addition to getting the M1 to activate events on the NX, similar to like we just did with the generic event, we can also send a message back the other way from NX back to the M1. So as an example, we might want to then activate something on the NX to open a boom gate, turn a light on and off on the M1. So let's do an example from that, and let's then turn a light on and off from the NX system. So to do this, we go back to camera rules again. We'll open the camera rules for the particular camera. And what we're going to do this time is, let's, as an example, we'll set up soft trigger. So we'll set the soft trigger up. We select the camera, but we want the soft trigger on, training room. We select the users that are going to have access to it. In this example, we'll go all users. And we'll put the trigger name. Let's put in there light on as the name. Let's select an icon. We'll have the light on icon. And to send messages back to the M1, we do that via HTTP requests, and we use webhooks for those. So the easiest way to do it is, we've got some examples in the manual where we can turn lights on and off, dim lights, we can turn outputs on and off, pulse outputs, arm, disarm the M1 with the user code, activate tasks, etc. on the M1. So let's cut and copy the turn a light on command, and let's paste that in there. So we just need to substitute to the IP address and port number of the NessBridge. This example, it's there. It's a light command, and my light for my training room is light number 10 on the M1, and we do that, we want to turn it on. We apply that, and let's now save that, and we'll go and add another rule to turn the light off. So we do another one. Let's do another soft trigger on the training room camera. Again, we select all users that have access to that. This one's going to be light off. Let's select the light off symbol. HTTP request again. Copy the command in, except this time we'll change back to light number 10, which is my light in the training room. This time it'll be light off command. We apply that. Okay, so now when we bring this camera up full screen, or from there, we can now see that we've got a light on and light off command. Currently my light is on in the training room, so let's use the light off command. We can turn the light off. Okay, and alternatively we can turn the light on. Okay, so they're just using some light on and light off commands, sending a HTTP request to the M1, and again that could be other events such as opening a boom gate, etc. So now we can see how we can receive commands to NX from M1 event and send a message back again.